Canada. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. I do want to kind of mention just from a holistic level that while Statista is an excellent resource for small businesses, for nonprofits, and in their approach to different markets and towards grants and towards investors and so forth, but the platform is really designed as a generalist platform. We try to cast the widest net possible. We cover something like 80 to 85,000 topics. We've got everything from the St. Louis Cardinals to barbecue sauce. We're not just focused on business data, but of course, we have a ton of business data, and that's what we'll primarily be going over today. We're not going to be able to cover too much of the platform. It's great that you all have access with your library card, so you can explore as much as you'd like to. But today, Rachel and I are going to kind of follow a theme just to kind of keep a little bit of a linear, journey or path through the platform. And we're going to focus, our topic will be on apparel, kind of as a seller persona, as someone who might be looking to sell apparel at some point in time, or maybe wants to provide selling apparel, different elements of that market. But yeah, I'll start out with just an introduction about the platform, give you a little bit of surface level detail. Rachel's going to jump into the platform and she's going to show you a little bit more about it, navigational ways that you can get through it. And then we're going to close together. We're actually going to show you an add-on product that St. Louis County Library has elected to add, which is our global consumer survey. She and I are going to kind of tackle that one together, and we'll save some time at the end for any questions you all might have. All right, with that, what is Statista? We are the global #1 data platform. Based on pure data points, we have more data on more sources, on more topics than any other platform that you can find out there. Something to emphasize, we are a global platform. We're actually headquartered in Germany. We've got employees in 60 some countries around the world, and we're not focused just on North America. So if you want to look and compare and contrast what other countries are doing, that's very easily done on our platform. I mentioned that we do have external sources that we're checking. That those are a lot of times paid partnerships that we have with other data resources as well. We spent $20 million as a company just last year on our data partnerships to be able to give you access to those. But you can see by the numbers here where our coverage is there in the blue. Our core competency is really how quickly and easily you can find what you're looking for. And we always like to try and keep things easy for you. All of our data is vetted. So everything on the platform is going to be source checked by a team of folks that we have doing that. Unlike going on Google where you have to dodge advertisements and you don't know if the source is good or not, that's all going to be taken care of for you. Fun fact, Google is actually one of our largest clients. All of their research teams use us to begin their research. And then lastly, we're very transparent about where we're getting our information from. Once we jump into the platform, you'll see that a lot of times there's a source link to the statistic or to the references to the reports that you're looking at. And that's because we want to give you the access to potentially go further your research from that source that we found it from. So something to keep in mind there. And of course, with access to the platform with your library card, you do have unlimited downloads and you can republish the information as well. And the last slide I have for you here today is just a graphical depiction of purely based on pure data points where our information is coming from. Roughly half of the platform is just our primary research, research that we've collected and put up onto the site. The other half, most of it is through those paid partnerships that I mentioned before. If you think about a lot of big consulting companies out there that we work with, you're going to be able to access that information. Nielsen is a good example there. But then the smallest portion, publicly accessible sources. If you think about Census.gov, a lot of government websites around the world, those are accessible to you without the subscription to Statista, but we have to, put that information onto the site just so we kind of create that one-stop shop feel. So you don't have to go outside the platform and back in. And of course, all of the easy download tabs will all be there for you. So everything will look kind of uniform and will be kind of cleaned up compared to what you might find on some of those websites. With that, I'm going to stop sharing. Rachel, I'm going to pass over to you so you can, I guess, guide these folks through the platform a bit. Rachel, you're on mute.
There we go. Am I good?
I hear you now.
Awesome. And we should be able to see my screen, right?
Yep, good to go.
Perfect. So awesome. So when you log into the platform, this is what everyone's homepage will look like. You have a search bar, and then of course, if you hover over up here, there's a lot going on. It might be a little intimidating, but fret not. We'll definitely go through what a statistic, report, and outlook is, and ultimately the easiest way to navigate the platform itself. So first and foremost, I would definitely utilize the search bar when starting out your navigation. If you're new to the platform, that's the easiest way to kind of hone in what you want, unless you know exactly how to get to the report shop or the outlooks, and I'll go over that in a second. But the search bar is going to be your best friend. I would definitely recommend keeping the search pretty vague, 3 to 5 words max. And then as you'll see on the results page, you can really filter through and find exactly what you're looking for, hopefully. If you don't know what topic to look up, here's some trending topics right at the bottom of the search bar that others are looking up on Statista, or some current events that might be of interest. As Alex already mentioned, we'll do apparel today. That'll kind of guide our search. So as I start to type in, and I'm going to put in women's apparel, just because I think that'll be a fun search for us. As I start to type, as you see, there's suggestions right below it. So women's clothing, shoes, footwear, so on and so forth. So for right now, I'm going to just click on women's clothing. As I click on this, now I come into my search. So you can see your search history right at the top. You'll also be able to refine this by relevance, date of publication, popularity, and then of course, location focus as well. Default is typically the US. Feel free to change that once you obviously get to this page. So now on the left-hand side, you'll see something familiar: statistics, studies and reports, and expert tools. Essentially, this left-hand side is that's exactly what this is up here. So that's why I was mentioning you can refine your search there. And then as you scroll down, you can really filter through as well. Again, you could filter location, industry. You can really play around with the filters. So what I would typically recommend is when starting off your search, you want to click on a topics page. A topics page will be the easiest way to kind of branch off your search. You can get to statistics from there, dossiers. It'll kind of just guide you in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight topics page. So it'll eliminate every other result besides topics page. As you see here, we have the editorial pick. So women's apparel report in 2021. And then you'll see all different topics pages as well. So for the sake of the demo today, I'm just going to click on women's plus size apparel market in the US. Once it loads, I'll be able to see a few different things. First, I'll be able to see a little snippet about this topic. I'll be able to see which analysis wrote the article, when it was written. And then, of course, if we have a dossier or a report related to this topic, it'll be right up here in the right-hand corner. You also have the capability to share it on social media, so feel free to do that, of course. And then as I scroll down on a topics page, they all look very similar. So they'll have some highlights, some top stats, and all of this is interactive. So you could click into anything that I'm basically hovering over. And then as you scroll down on the right-hand side are some more statistics. The left-hand side is going to be topics and then statistics related to that topic. So especially if you don't really know what you're looking for or kind of how to guide your search, this will give you essentially a category, and then you could go into different statistics on the categories. So as we keep scrolling down, again, consumer behavior, plus size, fashion, retail, there's a whole different topics. And then typically at the bottom of a topics page on the right-hand side, you'll have some dossiers related to the topic as well, which is great. So again, this can really guide your search. If you don't know what you're looking for, that's really why I recommend a topics page to start. So just scrolling back up, let's look at just the first statistic here. I'll open a new tab. And this is a single statistic. So right now we're ultimately in this left-hand side of the top ribbon, which is statistic. All the statistics are going to look the same. Of course, it's going to be a topic with a title, and then it'll have a bar chart, a graph, or some sort. So right now we're looking at revenue of apparel market worldwide from 2013 to 2026. And you can do a few different things on the graph itself. If you wanted to change the view of the graph, you have the capability to do so, play around with it there. Again, if you want to share on social media, you do have that capability. We also have citation. We have about 5 different citations, so feel free to look through that. And then, of course, if you wanted to print this, you have the option to do so as well. On the right-hand side, you'll have download capability. So as Alex mentioned, you have unlimited downloads, so feel free to download as much as you want. And then, as Alex also mentioned, we do have the sourcing link. So Statista is very transparent. If we wrote or published the statistic or whatnot, we'll have it, which we actually did publish this one. But if we use a data partner, we'll actually have their link in here as well. And I really want to point that out because let's say, for instance, you're looking for a certain topic and you're not really seeing it on the platform itself, definitely utilize, if it's written by one of our data partners, utilize that source link. Maybe they have some information that could really help you out with that topic itself. So that'll be right on the right-hand side of all of these graphs. And then you'll also see release dates as well. We try to keep it as up to date as possible, of course, depending on relevance and current events. We update some more than others. So this is a statistic. Now, as I scroll down, you'll have a little article written here about the title that we mentioned, and then you'll just see related topics as well. So again, this can really guide your search into different elements of what you're looking for. But as you scroll down on the page, kind of like the topics page itself, statistics typically have dossiers, which are related to whatever the title that you're looking up. A dossier is just a compilation of statistics, so I'll show you that in 1 second. So let's say we want to look at, kind of keeping with the theme, women's plus size apparel. Great, let's click into this. Awesome, so now we have this dossier. So we're in the report shop. That's where all the dossiers are held. And as you scroll down on this page, you'll be able to see the table of contents. So this makes sure that you could read through, see exactly what you're looking for before you actually download the PDF or the PowerPoint. You'll be able to see when it was released. So this one was in 2021. And of course, you'll be able to see how many pages are in it as well. So 22 pages. And then you have the 2 different options via PowerPoint or PDF. So I'll just download it via PowerPoint. This might take a minute depending on how large the document is, so give it a few. And then let's open it up. All right. So now we're in the PowerPoint. And as you see, as you scroll down on the left-hand side, again, it's just a compilation of statistics, so very similar to something that we are already seeing in the single statistics. But something interesting is the table of contents. This one is not too large. It has about 19 slides, but let's say it was a larger file. You actually could hover over a page that you were looking to get into and then click right into that specific page. Excuse me. So on here, you'll be able to do a few different things. So very similar to the single statistic, you actually could change the view of the graph. You could play around with a few different things. For instance, if you had data from 2010 and you were just looking for something further on, you ultimately could take off that data as well, of course, keeping the integrity of the information. But you really have the capability to really customize these charts essentially. I don't see one with a year, but I'm sure we all understand what I'm saying. So that is a dossier.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Really quick. For some reason, it looks like that dossier is not loading. Megan, are you seeing the same?
Yeah, there was a weird moment when I could see the editing the chart.
Oh, shoot. Okay, we don't see it.
We had this in our last presentation too, when it was a PowerPoint. It was with PowerPoint. That was weird.
Okay. Download the PDF then. Let's see if that
that's probably better. I was going to say, Rachel, Hurricane Ian might be affecting your the internet connection. From last week.
So PDF?
Yep, we can see that.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So this is just a PDF. Again, sorry for everyone who I was talking and they weren't seeing anything, but this is essentially what I was showing. So again, it's just a compilation of statistics all gathered together. The PDF is a little bit less interactive, so you cannot change the dates. But essentially, if I were to download this on the PowerPoint, as I was mentioning, let's say I didn't want to see something from 2015 and lower, I could obviously customize that chart. So this is just what I was showing as well. On the PowerPoint, you could actually click into a slide by hovering over a number. And again, a dossier is just a compilation of statistics. So just to wrap that up pretty quick, because I'm sure you guys already listened to me with a blank screen, so sorry about that. So going back, let's say we're back at our initial search. I'll just go back one. So again, I'm sure this looks pretty familiar. Let's say we wanted to see something in the reports, a dossier plus, for instance. So what you could do again, just hover over what you're looking for from this initial search page. And I want to see if there's any dossiers or dossier pluses. And I could drop that down. And there's one. So unfortunately, there's one, but that's great. We can definitely show it. So let's click into shared apparel for the time being. All right. So now this is a dossier plus. So the major difference between a dossier and a dossier plus is it's just a lot beefier. It looks really nice compared to just the statistics and the graphs. So let me download the report. The graphics are nicer, and we typically have a lot more verbiage on the documents too. So let me double check this loaded. All righty. You can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is the PDF of Dossier Plus. So it's a little bit different, as I already mentioned, but as I scroll through, you can already see right off the bat, has analysis opinion, a lot more explaining of what the title is, what we're talking about. Ultimately, it's just a nicer report to download. Of course, because more work goes into it, there may not be as many available compared to dossiers, but definitely check out the topic depending on what you're looking for. I know certain topics, I think it was, for instance, like an Oktoberfest dossier, plus I saw had a lot of cool graphics, very bubbly, fun. So definitely check that out. Hopefully they have it on what you're looking for. So that would be the report shop. And then last but not least, we'll go into an Outlook. So what I'm going to do, because the Outlooks is being a little slow today, I'll show you guys what the main page of Outlooks looks. Okay, perfect. It's actually pretty quick. So very similar to the home page of the platform, once I click into the Outlooks, I actually could search what I'm looking for right here. But before I do that, I just want to explain a little bit about what these different categories are, you know, what they consist of. If you don't know, if you know, if you're explaining it to someone, all of that. So again, you just click right into Outlooks itself, right on the top ribbon. And if you scroll down a little bit on the left-hand side, here's all the Outlooks listed. The default always opens up the digital market Outlook, but essentially we'll show you how many countries and territories are covered here, how many segments, and the right-hand side is going to list all of the segments. And I'll break it down a little bit further as well. We're going to be in the consumer market Outlook for today. So that's why I clicked into it. So you'll see the difference. If you're not really sure what's in an Outlook, you can definitely use this page to help filter through your search. Again, sometimes you may think a certain topic or category would be in a certain Outlook, but be open-minded to looking into different Outlooks, as some of the digital market and the health market, they kind of intertwine. So just keep that aware. So the right-hand side, like I said, for the consumer market Outlook, these are all the different markets in the CMO, and I'll show you the homepage of the consumer market Outlook as well. I already have it here. So when you click into the consumer market Outlook, this is the home page that you'll see. All of the Outlook's home pages typically look the same besides country. Country is a little bit different. But again, you can search right in the consumer market Outlook, or you can use this top ribbon up here. I'll go through it in 1 second. But essentially, anything that you click into, it'll actually guide you to something, a section right down below. So not to make anyone dizzy, I'll go slow. But again, all of these topics, market penetration, global coverage, those are in the little tabs above, and it'll just kind of give you a high level really quick without deep diving, which is pretty cool on the page itself. So let me go into the market directory. And why I'm mentioning the market directory, as you saw, I clicked into the market directory, brought me right down on the page. All of these topics are going to be listed out, and then you could actually deep dive into a subsegment. So again, we're going with women's apparel for today. So women's, men's, children. Then we want to break it down into all of these different topics that we could definitely go into. And I want to show the difference. So let's say we just clicked into women's apparel. So open that in a new tab. All right. So now we're in women's apparel. Typically, it's going to default to worldwide. So just keep that in mind, and you can definitely change that. I'll show us how to do that in a second. But when we're in the women's apparel outlook, we have a few highlights on here. Typically, it's going to be all stats and numbers in either this year or the following years. Again, the outlooks tool is for market sizing and forecasting, so just keep that in mind. So you'll have the market definition. You'll also have what's on this report and what's not. So of course, if you're looking for certain things, you want to just check really quick. In and out of scope is great. And then any related reports, again, would be right into here. So definitely check this out too. If you're not really sure what to look for, we always give some suggestions, which is great. So one thing to keep in mind is women's apparel is a lot of things combined. So if I scroll down just a little bit, we get a little bit colorful, a little bit of a rainbow, which is great. And we can actually hover over and see certain categories of women's clothing. So you'll see that all of these, blazers, coats, jackets, if I go back to the initial apparel in the CMO, I could actually go into specifics, right? But this is just kind of encompassing all of them. So just wanted you to know that you could get super specific on here. But for the sake of information, I want to show a broad overview. If you didn't want to see like clothing and accessories, you could click on it so you hide it. If you just wanted to see the totals, you could do that as well. So again, these graphs are really interactive. If you wanted to see a different view, you have capability to do so. That's a little hard to read, but when you're going through an outlook, of course, this has a lot containing in the chart itself. Most of them are not this bulky, so it'll be a lot less colorful, a lot less going on. But just keep that in mind that you do have the option to play around with it. Again, you could change the format of the graph, whatever is easiest for you. You could hover over, so it's a lot of interaction here. So as we scroll down, it's going to look kind of similar. Again, going into the average revenue per capita, sustainable apparel share, and then we just have different things like sales channels. I always love when I see like the mobile and desktop split. It's kind of interesting. People still buy on a desktop, but this gives you a lot of insight into your consumer, right? And then as you scroll down, you also have volume. You'll also have kind of like a heat map, if you will. Just don't want to go too fast. There you go on the global comparison tool. And then, of course, you'll have your methodology, so where all this information is coming from. Each outlook will have a methodology, and you can get that from the homepage as well. And then some key market indicators that you have the capability to download. So if I were to scroll back up, and let's say, for instance, I didn't want to look worldwide, I just wanted a certain region, I could actually look at that region specifically. Let's say I just want Brazil. So now I'm looking at women's apparel, specifically in Brazil. And of course, depending on how much information we have available, the overview and how much is available to see might be reduced. So just keep that in mind. So again, it's going to be very similar. Now we're just looking at stats from Brazil as we scroll down the page. But let's say we wanted to compare regions. So we'll do Brazil to United States, for instance. So it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be more of a high level, not necessarily individual clothing. So we're comparing Brazil to United States. And then as I scroll down, now we see it's different. So we have Brazil versus US. So there's not blazers, coats, there's nothing like that in here. It's just kind of territory versus territory. So just keep that in mind when comparing. And again, depending on how much data we have, of course, it might be limited. But again, it just shows you the same charts. You, of course, could download the charts You could hide it if, for instance, you want to download this whole page and you didn't want to see, you could hide data labels, not the chart itself. But if you didn't want so much on the chart when you're downloading the whole page, you could do so. You could download it right up here. And again, we do have citation and sharing capabilities. So I think that covers it for me, Alex.
Thank you. No, I just one note I wanted to share there, because, any small business owner or nonprofit that might want to take this information with them, the download function, right? You want to be able to pull that information in the CSV so that you can include it, maybe manipulate it if you don't want to see, 5 years out and 6 years back and so forth. You just want certain years, being able to download it in Excel or CSV. You can easily edit that and then provide that to a potential investor, include it with a grant, etc. But no, thank you so much, Rachel.
Sure, thank you.
And now let me share here. All right. There we go. One more thing, folks, that I wanted to highlight, just kind of taking a step back from what Rachel was showing you. I just searched apparel from the main page, but I did want to highlight just in a statistic what it looks like to go to one of our partner sites and how that would work, how that would look. I just clicked a random statistic here, but this one does have a source link to an external source. It looks like, page 14 of this PDF. If I click that, now I'll go out to one of our partners and be able to access a 29-page industry insight on apparel from Kroll. So just something to highlight there that I wanted to bring to light. But yeah, I'm going to show a couple of other areas of the platform. Again, the platform is so vast, it's hard to cover a lot of this in one sitting, but we're hoping that you guys can take all of this with you, and be able to search better. I did and have sent, I tried to put it in the chat here, some video walkthroughs that you can use at your leisure, but Megan does have those. So if you reach out to her, she can give you walkthroughs that you can look, through on your own time, so to speak. But the first piece, just wanted to highlight the company database. This is something that we've been updating quite a bit over the past 2 years, I'd say. We're up to 60 million companies. So if you're looking to enter a market, let's say apparel, as we're speaking here, this is going to give the ability to see what the competitive landscape looks like. Who are your competitors? Who are the big players in the space? What kind of revenue numbers are they doing? Lots of different details around different companies. So I urge you to take a look into that. But lastly, today, we're going to look at the Global Consumer Survey. And there's a video walkthrough that I sent to Megan specifically on this that, again, you can take a look at your leisure. But this is, again, an add-on product that St. Louis County Library has elected to give to you. This is a survey that's going out to 55 countries around the world. It's an online survey. So obviously this is only the online community. That's who's filling out these surveys. We don't have people going door to door and collecting this information, but these are online surveys that, that we incentivize folks to take, giving them gift cards and things like that so that they do. But you can see here, if I scroll down a bit, you can see the different countries that have been surveyed. All of these have been surveyed with at least 1,000 respondents in order for it to make to hold water statistically. But you can see here, like the United States, we have 60,000 surveys filled out in the United States 4 times per year. This is updated once per quarter. Some of the other countries might not be as often, but something to keep in mind there. Before we jump into the actual survey itself, which is our standard survey, it's a very large survey that has, a lot of questions. I want to highlight our GCS specials. If you scroll down a bit further, you can see the blue button here. Within all of these areas, this is a different survey that is polled 2 different areas of the world, just focused in all of these different areas. We don't have anything on apparel. We don't have anything on women's apparel. We do have something on luxury, a special on luxury shopping. So as you can see here, these 6 countries have been polled, at least 1,000 respondents. And all of these questions are going to be just based around luxury goods. Of course, there's tons of different specials in there. You can see here, gaming, alcoholic drinks. If you're starting a brewery, as an example, that would be very useful. But yeah, there's plenty of those. Just wanted to highlight that before I jump into the main survey itself. If I do jump into the main survey, you just hit start your research and you're going to get a completely different interface. This is when you're in the survey. It can be a bit daunting, which is why, I want to mention that Megan does have a full walkthrough that can kind of go more slowly for you. We don't really have the time on hand today. But you can see down the left-hand panel, this is where you're getting all of the information that you're going to input into the rest of the screen here on the right-hand side. I think survey details and characteristics and demographics, they're kind of in their own world, where the content that you're looking for is going to be within all of these tabs beneath. For today, because we're talking about apparel, obviously e-commerce and retail is going to be what we're looking at, specifically retail more so. You can see here attitudes toward shopping as a general. Any plus sign that I hit is going to populate down into the rows here. But I want to keep things a bit more general or a bit more specific than that. If I go into retail and FMCG, you can see one of the options here is purchase criteria for apparel. So I'm going to pop that down into the rows. Rows and columns, think of it as, just like an Excel spreadsheet. Basically your X and Y axis on how we're cross-tabulating this information. So I have in the rows purchase criteria for apparel. If I scroll down, this is where the results are going to be just beneath this. And you can see here, just generally speaking, without making any, deductions, that this is typically what people have chosen. But as mentioned before, characteristics and demographics, this is where you're going to be able to figure out exactly who is answering what on purchase criteria for apparel. So we have those results there, but we want to figure out maybe how different generations, let's say Gen Z, millennials, so on and so forth, how they're looking at it. If I look into demographics here, scroll down, I think age and generations, there we are. So now I have these both together, but that's not doing me much good, just both being in the rows column. We want to be able to cross tabulate. So I take this, hit this little button here on the side, and I pop this as a column up here. So now when I scroll down, and this is obviously a multi-pick survey question, it's not a single pick that they have to choose. They can choose as many as they want. According to this, they are, showing you what is important regarding apparel. So appearance and style seems to be a bit more important to the baby boomers versus Gen Z, where, comfort, durability, materials used, so on and so forth. You can see how that's working there. Mentioning the export function, because you might want to take this information with you. You can always download a CSV, in certain scenarios, PowerPoint. But yeah, you can go as far down the rabbit hole with this as you like. You can change the country and territory that's been pulled. This is defaulting to the US because it knows that I'm on an IP address from the United States, but outside of the country, that would be different. You can also select different updates. As I mentioned, we update 4 times per year now. So if you wanted to compare how people were answering about certain information within different generations, if you wanted to change that to, let's say, the same time last year, you could easily do that. And it would repopulate all of your results here so that you can compare and contrast, download that information, pop it into an Excel spreadsheet, and go from there. Well, not really sure what happened there. But anyway, you can jump into that as far and wide as you like. The GCS brand profiler is also something new that we've introduced. This is just basically, based on the questions that we've asked on different brands, you can really hone in to different areas. Let's say fashion through e-commerce or apparel and shoes. It looks like we've got some different options here. Sportswear seems to be the one that has been completed, where we have enough data points where we can actually deduce things. So you can see here, which brands are being looked at. This looks like for sportswear, this looks like shoes. And then if I go further down, it looks like popularity, so on and so forth. So it's a lot to take in. I know Megan and myself, we're definitely here to make sure that you're able to find the information that you like. One last piece before we open it up for questions and answers that I did want to highlight is that anytime that you're in the platform, you might be working with, folks in other countries potentially, or maybe your English is a second language for you. As I try to back out of this, there we go. This little globe button here in the top corner will, at any given point, click of a button, you can change the entire platform to Spanish, German, as well as French. We're working on bringing other languages as well, but as you can imagine, that's a pretty big undertaking to create the whole platform in a new language. But I know Portuguese is on the way, and we're looking into other areas and other languages too. All right, with that, I will open things up for questions. I don't believe there were any correct me if I'm wrong, in the chat box last I
Correct.
looked.
Cyrus asked about how to get the videos, but I was able to get the links to the videos in the chat.
Yeah.
So hopefully those are working, but Angela and I are going to work on a resources folder from the expo, and these videos will for sure live in that folder. Once we get everything compiled, we'll reach out to everybody that signed up to get you guys those resources. But any questions for Alex and Rachel, please put them in the chat. This is an amazing resource. We have a lot of people that come to us for our book of librarians that we show this to. So if you're interested in sitting down with one of us, one of my librarians or myself, to talk more about what you're looking for, we would love to do so at a book of librarian, which I just put the link in. So you can schedule an appointment. You just let us know what you want to see, and we can talk about your topic in more detail.
Perfect. Yeah, no, obviously here to help. And again, just to drive the point home that although this is I guess a session surrounding small business and nonprofits, this is definitely a resource that is used across the board. I work with K through 12. Some people on my team work with, I think, something like 1,100 different university libraries around the globe. So there's information for everyone here. It's just a matter of, searching around and finding what you find.
Mhm. Yes, and Cyrus said tons of information. What a great website. And he is currently at Hairstow University. So Cyrus, you could use this in other things.
There it is. There it is for sure. Yeah. No, it's been great, and we're building it, constantly updating it. This isn't a website that we're updating, once per quarter or once per month per se. It's continuously being updated. Every Monday we get together, about 80 of us in the United States, and we just go over what's been updated in the past 7 days. And it's usually like, Rachel, what, 50 to 70 reports have been updated, 300 to 500 new statistics per week. So, we're on top of current events that are happening, making sure that we have the data there for it. So a lot of different applications, but yeah, we have a lot of success with small businesses and entrepreneurs and getting data for them so that they can make the best steps possible. And then of course, the nonprofit sector, looking at grants and things like that, you need to have data. You need to have numbers behind, what you're looking to do. So great for that as well.
So Deborah, one of our people, has her hand raised. So I'm going to give her the opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
So Deborah, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. First of all, thank you. This has been very informative, and thank you, Megan. Also, I have booked the librarian. Just let everybody know it's great. Megan's wonderful, and I do appreciate her and all of her. She has a vast knowledge of just about everything. So we do have an appointment on Monday. So Megan, I was wondering about the social emotional learning skills or life skills, like ages 8 to 18. Would that be something that we could research?
Yeah, they have a lot of really good like medical psychological information within this resource.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'll want to research some of that on if it's possible on Monday when we meet.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you so much. This is
Of course, Deborah, it's our pleasure. One thing to note though, just because I think it's illegal basically, but our global consumer survey does not have any information on children, beneath the age of 18. So just want to make sure that that's known. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. And I see another hand raised. So I'll give W. Delmore the opportunity to talk, so you can unmute yourself and ask Alex and Rachel a question.
Well, might be a microphone issue potentially.
Yeah, we see you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Was this for me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize I raised my hand. So anyway, the short version is, and I will follow up offline. I've recently gone to work for an independent office out of Washington, D.C. called the Office of Advocacy. And we focus on being a voice for small business back into the regulatory and research arenas in Washington, D.C., and work with all the federal agencies about rules that they issue and the effect that those rules may have on small businesses and their owners. So anyway, I've never seen this Statista before, and I'm intrigued by it, but I think I'm going to need to follow up with someone. What I don't know is, because I missed the beginning of the seminar, is what the assumed cost is, whether or not I can purchase the service, or do I generally need to go through the library to do that?
Sure. A great question, Mr. Delmore. But we do work with many different government agencies. We have a team that just focuses on our government clients. It is a bit of a different subscription. There is a service that comes with it, which is called Ask Statista, where you get a few hours of our analyst time to, dig into some different things, that you might be looking for on the platform. We also have a custom research service as well. But it sounds like you're just looking for access to the platform. That's something that we can certainly price out for you. If you want to send Megan a note to get my email address, I can put you in touch with the gentleman who works with our government team, and he can give you everything you're looking for there, and you can, I guess, take steps forward there. But I am very familiar with that division of the SBA. I know we work with a lot of economic development centers as well around the country. And of course, we do work with SBAs through libraries sometimes, depending on the city and state. But yeah, we'll be happy to get some more information for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep. And I put my email in the chat, so that's for anybody to use. But what they showed us today, what Alex and Rachel covered, you would be able to access for free with your library card, just going through our website. But probably for that extra data, might be a good idea to get that government.
There you go. You have access to everything. It's just kind of like a custom service that would be, specifically catered for that division of the SBA. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions for Alex and Rachel while we have them here? I'm checking the Q&A too. Okay. Don't see anything in there.
We might have been thorough. Hopefully we were thorough.
That's what the last one said, Tom. He was like, I always joked when I did this with students that if they had no questions, I was perfect.
Right. Well, I mean, it's also a jumping off point, right? Like hopefully there's a lot learned here today, and the possibilities are seen to where the journey can be, begun, and then there will be questions.
There will be questions.
But Megan, that's on you.
That's on me. Yeah. And then if I don't know something, that's when I'm like,
and then,
hey
then
guys.
it comes back to me. I'm always there for that. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we've got a great team.
For sure.
Okay. Yes. So I just put my email in again. I have a long last name. It's Pfeiffer Davis. So I always like to type it out, because if I just said it's M. Pfeiffer Davis and left, people are like, what is, I don't even spell that.
There's a lot of different spellings of Pfeiffer as well. So that's probably
Yes.
doozy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions currently that you might have, I will just thank you, Alex and Rachel, for your time. And as you start working through Statista and you start thinking about how you want to use this data in whatever project you have, you can definitely reach out to me and my team and book a librarian, and we can sit with you and talk about how to dive through this data.
Excellent. Megan, thank you so much for having us. It was a pleasure. And yeah, looking forward to next time.
Yes, next time. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here so much. All right. Bye and goodbye, everyone.
See you later.